Welcome to Bible Study with Fred. Today I'm in my part two of my comments on Mark chapter 10, verses 17 to 31. So what we're going to do today is start in verse 21. So let me read this. I hope we have a Bible study together, seated across the table from each other with our Bibles open. I'll share my interpretation with you, and you share your interpretation. Feel free to comment on what I say. So verse 21 goes like this. Then Jesus, beholding him, loved him, and said unto him, One thing thou lackest, go thy way, sell whatsoever thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven, and come and take up the cross and follow me. The young man has called Christ good master. Christ pointed out that none is good but God, as was the teaching, so this young man was, without meaning to, acknowledging that Christ was God in the flesh and the Messiah, perhaps. Christ tells him to sell all of his possessions, to give to the poor, and to join him with the apostles following Christ. He didn't call him a liar, and he loved him. He knew he was sincere, and Jesus knew the man's weak spot. We are told to work so we can give to those who have not. Ephesians 4:28. Let him that stole steal no more, but rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. Notice that the reason for laboring is not to build personal wealth so you can retire at 50 and live in a condo on the Gold Coast of Florida. It is to have for the purpose of giving to those who have not. This isn't about government extortion in the form of higher taxes. This is you voluntarily giving of the money you earn that God has given you to help feed, clothe, and support people who are actually, not willfully, poor. I know an elderly person who thinks that the greatest good they can do is to enjoy their fine home and be an obedient, law-abiding, and tax-paying citizen. After all, isn't it good that I can enjoy my stuff? American Christians tend to hold on to their possessions. They cling to them like a child to his toys. I'll do good, but let me keep my stuff. However, we're not to be defined by what we own, but by our relationship with Christ. When a man wanted Jesus to judge over he and his brother's physical inheritance, Jesus refused and gave them a little mini sermon on covetousness. Luke 12:15. And he said unto them, Take heed and beware of covetousness, for a man's life consisteth not in the abundance of things which he possesseth. If your life is defined by what you own, or if you define the importance of other lives by what they own, you are a pathetic Christian. We are told not to set our affections on material possessions, things on this earth. Matthew 6:19-24. Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The light of the body is the eye. If therefore the eye be single, the whole body should be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, the whole body should be full of darkness. Therefore the light that is in thee be darkness. How great is that darkness? No man can serve two masters. For either will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold on to the one and despise the other. He cannot serve God and mammon. Now mammon is wealth or money or the economic system personified. From the end of World War II, when all of our future uh, competitors lay prostrate on the ground, America rose to be the dominant economic power in the world. Our middle class, forged by God's bountiful hand of mercy by hard work, ingenuity, productivity, watered by government benefits in the form of the GI Bill for homecoming veterans of World War II and low interest home loans, was the envy of the world. For 30 years, from 1945 to 1975, we were on top of the world, literally from an economic perspective. Even today, depending on whom you read, our economy represents around 25% or more of the world's total, and 40% of all consumption is from these 300 million people in this country in a world of 8 billion. But Americans began to view prosperity as a birthright to being an American. Americans began to regard each generation having a better life than the previous as their due. They weren't grateful to God and, in fact, began to reject God and engage in self worship on a grand scale. Bible reading and prayer were summarily tossed out of the schools. The unborn were treated like so much diseased tissue to be surgically removed. And we bought and paid for murderous dictators around the world to do our bidding, denying their pitiful subjects the same rights we believe were God given to us. The super wealthy and Wall Street began preying on our consumer driven culture, moving production to poorer countries where they could exploit people with less of an expectation for a standard of living than we had come to desire. They manipulated government regulations and the tax system to create a benefit for themselves. All the while, regular people who tried to start a business from scratch, were facing tougher and tougher obstacles and needed more and more capital to get started. The government continued the process of taking from the productive part of society, those people who worked and struggled, to give more and more to those who either could not produce or would not produce. More and more, the richest and most powerful in the government took more and more of the produce of the sweat of the vast majority. Political parties targeted constituencies and tried to pay them off for votes, with everyone else's money as often as they were in power. One day, a potent symbol of our financial power, the World Trade Centers in New York, were brought down. We did not get the message. Then a few short years later, our phony baloney economy collapsed. We continued to walk away from the one who created us. In verses like Psalm 50, verse 10, God says that all wealth and natural resources belong to him. God says that all you have is his. So maybe now he's taking it back. America has been weighed in the balance and found wanting. See Daniel chapter 5. So I'm going to stop there today, and we'll go and we'll pick it up beginning in verse 22 next. I'm asking you to set aside some time today to read your Bible. Open it up and let God speak to you through his word. Also asking you to set aside some other time to study your Bible. That's cross-referencing the verses back and forth. In both events, please pray to God for wisdom and understanding, and then share your interpretation with someone else. Now, you can purchase my comments on Amazon. You can read them for free on blogger.com. But if you've watched this video this far, please click like and subscribe or follow, and share the video with someone else. And I look forward to your comments.